When the Supreme Court equated money with free speech, that was a horrible mistake. Because people got to thinking, well, gee, maybe I have to pay for it. No, we dare not pay for it, because what you pay for is a sideshow. It's filler between commercials, and that can be anything. True, false, nonsense. You want truth on the internet? Good luck. Thank you. I told him, I said, John, do you know the difference between what you do and what we do at Access Tucson, what public access does? And he says, well, no. And I said, well, we're not filler between commercials.
Steve Kosachek said he didn't want us to say anything more about free speech because he'd heard that story, and I was like, okay, so I was thinking of all these other reasons to defend Access Tucson, but actually it does come back down to democracy on the media. You know, you don't have to call it freedom of speech, you just have to say there has to be an outlet on the media. It's the most powerful medium in the world. The United States makes more media, more films and TV than any other country in the world. So we should have a citizen's voice in there. We train people, we educate youth and everybody, every age really. We program and cablecast, help people create programs and then cablecast them. We show more election coverage, more political stuff than anybody else, hands down, in town.
Here, you don't need money. I mean, the place needs money, yes. But we don't have to pay to get democracy on television. And that's important.
And the city of Tucson is within their legal rights to not fund. Absolutely. So it is.
It's legal to misappropriate those funds?
It is certainly with outside the spirit of what those funds were created for. But the funding structure changed. So when that changed, they stopped taking that per subscriber fee. So they're only paying for the rights of way. They're purchasing that.
They're getting a discount.
Lisa said, they're getting away with it. They can do it legally. That doesn't mean that we can't call them on how it is ethically and morally, because the intention of PEG is part of the very foundation of this all the way through. Another thing I think is really important, if you do talk to the mayor and council, we have not taken one dime, not a penny of City of Tucson taxes. It is Cox Cable subscriber money. So, people assume, well, we're on the tax dole, blah, 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 and it's wrong. Stunned, floored at that mayor and council meeting in which the city, I was like, and when the city manager proposed access being zeroed out and the building sold. And we are we are building mates, or well, not roommates, but building mates with Channel 12. But one of the things that disturbed me enormously was that the city manager recommended restructuring for Channel 12, but zeroing out Access Tucson. And I, in principle, that strikes me as just absolutely wrong, in that they're saving their own government channel and yet proposing getting rid of us entirely.
The community speaks if they're given the opportunity. The crucial thing is they have to be given the opportunity. Big boy TV is where all the money is. That's where the money goes to pay for everything you watch on network television. And it is true that when you turn on network television, there's all kinds of small-time presentations. It was a Sky. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to the internet stuff. But on, for example, the morning television shows, they have people writing in, sending in little bits and vignettes on video. But it starts with the big boys in the studio with all those expensive pieces of equipment. Everything else is secondary. It wouldn't be much of a show if Matt Lauer were on a little screen like that every morning for us to watch. We'd spend about 10 minutes suffering eye strain, and we'd move on to our orange juice. So it starts with the big dollars. But eliminating us, since we don't deal with big dollars, will pretty much take us out of the loop of being able to not just communicate, but people to watch. I've maintained for years that the crucial aspect of this place is not how many people watch the programs. I don't care whether anybody watches the programs or not when it gets right down to it. The essence is there has to be a place for an individual to speak. The soapbox, going back to that example, you can stand on the soapbox till the cows come home. Whether people stop along the roadside and listen to you or not is a totally separate issue. It means nothing. The essence is that person, that soapbox has to continue.
I mean, no one has outright said that there's someone with an eye on the building, although there are some wonderful rumors and conspiracy theories about which developer has already been promised the building, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, the reason why those rumors and conspiracy theories are thriving is because we're really not hearing from anybody what the motives are behind this proposal. And one of the simple motives is, as Lisa is fond of saying, is that, there's people on the city staff who find us really annoying and would like to see us go away.
I called the realtor and I specifically asked, I want to know how many bids you have on
Now, the
building.
city of Tucson owns this property.
Yeah, but they have assigned that realtor that was on your letter when they sent you the notice of ending
Right.
your life
Right.
here. So I said, interesting, they already have a realtor listed. So I called them and I asked him specifically about what bids. He said, there are people interested, quote unquote, but nothing has been formalized because, and this is important, he said, without me asking, because there seems to be a lot of people fighting for this building. Do you know anything about it? I said, I'm one of them.
Odd stuff. We're hearing that from a lot of council members that's it's just some weird stuff going on at Access Tucson. But I gotta tell you, I don't think I've seen more bizarre television than watching the mayor and council.
We need to calliope.
That's weird television. Okay? Yes. That's really bizarre television. And 3 years ago we hosted the Alliance for Community Media conference, and I called Lisa and I talked to some of the national board members and I said, I gotta get some stuff off my chest. It was about a year after I served as Councilmember Karen Ulick's chief of staff. And I saw a lot of things happen within, at City Hall, from her office and at City Hall. And what I witnessed was, there's no other way to put it except for a serious erosion of local democracy. We need to be honest with ourselves, If in fact it is that they want the building, the way it normally works is that aides, and Tom, jump in if you want, but aides usually have conversations that the city council members can't have with bureaucrats. They do the talking so that way they can say there's no conversation. And then the city manager finds a way to be able to get to that goal without embarrassing the council, with making it politically feasible. So, what I've found interesting is that none of the mayor and council has actually, stated, clearly that they are supporting Access Tucson. The best I've heard is that we have one council member who says we should provide full funding for the rest of the year. That still destroys Access Tucson. That still takes the building away, because no one at all that I've heard says that we should save the building at all. And the only thing that we are hearing is that 175 for the last year or full funding for the last year. But last year it will be. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hello, my name is Doctress Neutopia. I have produced a show at Access Tucson for the last 7 years. During that time, I have watched the budget of Access Tucson decrease from $800,000 to now, this year, the city of Tucson might allow them $150,000 in which to use next year to reorganize the station and to move out of the present location. I feel that this is could be the death of Access Tucson, at least the way we know it now. And the way we know it now is the studio is a place for democracy, diversity, and debate. It is the only place in Tucson that I have found that I can freely speak and broadcast it. It's a wonderful institution for people who are inspired with ideas on how to help the planet to be heard. This is such a valuable resource. We have 30 years of archives that we must protect. Orwell said that those who control the past control the present, and we need to preserve our history here at Access Tucson. I do not think we will if we are evicted from this building or from the Access Tucson building. What happens when people are evicted from their homes is that they become homeless and they lose their possessions. I feel that's what will happen with us. The government has not made any alternative moves to rehouse us. So why should we move? We are the people who elect these officials, and we do not want to move. Therefore, I think that we need to call on the progressive organizations of this city to join us in occupying Access Tucson, starting a grassroots people's movement to reorganize not only public television, but to give public television a profound meaning, and that is to reorganize the city into a sustainable eco-city. These developers do not have this ecological city in mind when they do such things as want to own this building and kick us out. We are up against an empire, and we know what that empire does. It's an imperialistic force that destroys indigenous populations, and it does not care what happens to people because it works through a system of genocide. We have to come to terms with what we are up against as far as the American empire and how this is just part of it. This week also, we heard the news that there will be an end to net neutrality, which will make it even more difficult for the marginal voices to be heard. And why these marginal voices are important is because solutions come outside the box. And right now we need major new ways of thinking if we are going to save the 200 species a day that are going extinct, as well as the human species. So let's do an occupation of Access Tucson and demand that our budget be reinstated so that we can not only survive, but we can start broadcasting high-quality programs again. I thank you very much for listening to me, and hey, power to the people. Peace.